Welcome to San Joaquin Spotlight, a public affairs program featuring conversations about life in the central San Joaquin Valley. This program is brought to you in partnership between KFSR 90.7 FM and CMAC Fresno. I'm your host, Sevag Tateosian. The studio is buzzing with activity today as we have members of Soul Charter School in downtown Fresno. Here we have Mr. Kuntz, music instructor. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Sevag. How are you?
Great. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
So who do you have with you today?
Today I've got Jose Najera over here on acoustic guitar. I've got Alejandro Medina on electric guitar, Joe Backdude right back here on the drums, and Shanye Trotter on the keyboard.
And this is the band, actually,
this is
correct?
the Soul Band. Yeah, we're very proud to have these young men here, and we've cultivated a really cool blues tune tonight. We're going to play Bill Withers' Ain't No Sunshine for you.
Well, I'll let you play that, so go ahead.
Fantastic. Here we go. There ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. I wonder if she's gone to stay. If she's gone for good. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. And I know, and I know. Oh, you better leave that girl alone. There ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Gone. There ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Not warm when she's away. There ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away.
Terrific performance from the Soul Charter School Band. Mr. Kuntz is the instructor of this terrific band. They're going to perform a little later on in the program. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the program. We just got done listening to the Soul Charter School Band. Now we have Dr. Wilson and Mr. Turner, both with Soul Charter School as well, and actually the principal is Dr. Wilson. Welcome to the program, you two.
Thank you for having us.
Talk a little bit about this school. I mean, I hear it's the first charter school in Fresno.
Yes, actually it's the first high school that was a charter school. I believe there was an elementary school a year before. We have just completed 15 years of existence and just chartered for another 5 years. Fresno EOC operates the charter school. We're one of 35 programs of Fresno EOC, and we're chartered through Fresno Unified School District. You know, 15 years ago, there were not a lot of options, alternatives for students other than the traditional high school and a couple of continuation schools. And now there are a lot more charter schools, but we've been around for a long time doing primarily the same task, and that's to help students who would otherwise be at risk of dropping out of school, provide an environment where they can be successful and hopefully move on to post-secondary education.
Dr. Wilson, when you're out talking to the community and you tell them what you do or who you are, do people really understand what a charter school is?
Well, yes and no. I think people don't understand until or unless they've actually had a personal experience with a charter school. They might have a family member, neighbor, relative attend a charter school. Pretty much the majority of people still think of traditional education as the only viable, the mainstream as being the only viable way to get through high school. And so it does take some education. There is a growing number of, there is growing awareness in the charter and in the regular community too, because of the successes that charter schools have had in meeting the needs of a diverse community of students. In fact, one charter school in Fresno is among the top 20 in the United States. That's University High, located at Cal State University, Fresno, which is also part of the charter school family.
Why should parents give you a chance? I mean, why, as let's say I had kids that were the age of your school, why should I send my children to your school?
It's an interesting question because often we don't ask our children what's going on with them. We expect them when they finish middle school to go on to high school. And there are a lot of things going on in a traditional mainstream high school with 2,000 to 3,000 students. Basically, if they want to give us a chance, hopefully that would be based on what their child is experiencing at school. There's increased bullying that's going on, the high school, the pressure of joining gangs, and just being around 2,000 to 3,000 students when you're 13, 14, 15 years old, that's overwhelming at times. Probably most of us here did that. We didn't have a lot of choice. But now there are choices, and there are students that are having a difficult time coping with many things in their lives, that going to school every day is much more difficult and challenging than it ever has been. So a lot of times the parents come to us because they've run out of options. The students stop going to school for a variety of reasons, and they want their child to continue to go to school and to graduate.
How many students do you have, and do you have room for growth?
Yes, we do have room for growth. We have a hybrid program. We have a classroom-based program with approximately 100 students and an independent study program with about another 100, 120 students. These programs are basically designed to the individual needs of the student. The independent study students, a lot of times we have students because of hardship, they need to work full-time and they can only come to school a couple hours a week, so we give them that option. The students that are there every day, it's because they need to go every day. And we'll hear later from our case manager some of the social problems that students deal with and the barriers to even socialization in a classroom and dealing with people when they would rather just stay in their rooms all day and forget about all of the problems. So we pay very close attention to those kinds of issues that our youth are having and struggling with on a daily basis.
Mr. Turner, Dr. Wilson was talking about the students. Talk about what you're seeing in the classroom with these students. I mean, are they reading well? Are they, I mean, talk about what kind of students these are.
Well, I mean, our students are a variety from academic successful students to students that need to catch up on credits. So we do offer a rigorous college preparatory curriculum and have the same expectations as any other traditional high school would for our students to be successful. One of the different things about Seoul than the traditional high school is the fact that our classrooms are smaller. And I think it's a more conducive for the learning environment for our students. I think a lot of times, a lot of students are embarrassed to participate in class or answer questions, and that smaller environment allows them for greater academic and social success inside the classroom and outside the classroom.
Are you certified by any programs, or talk about the certifications that you have as a school?
Absolutely. We are WASC accredited, just like all the traditional high schools here in Fresno, and we also have several classes right now in review to be approved through the UC system.
Talk about how you're dealing with the kids in the classroom. I mean, are you preparing them for college, or do you want them to move on and go to vocational school or college?
Oh, absolutely. And I think most of our students want to go to college, and we give them that rigorous curriculum to prepare them for that college level and that college studying. So, again, just like the traditional high schools, we give them the resources and tools which they need to go to the next level.
Sometimes people will say, oh, charter schools, or these are troubled youth in the classroom. Are they doing well? I mean, academically, do you see A's and solid scores?
Oh, absolutely. Because you got to realize this: even the students that come from the, disgruntled backgrounds and those kids that are having problems, the first thing is that they're coming to school. So they want to learn, they want to be successful, and that's the beginning, that's the start.
So I asked Dr. Wilson this question. I'll ask you the same question. I'm a parent. Let's say I have kids that are in the age group of your school. Why should I send them to your school?
Well, I think, again, the smaller environment. Unlike the traditional high schools, our students do not get lost. There are teachers outside each classroom every period watching the class or watching students come into class, looking at the attitudes, greeting them, saying hi, making sure that they're ready and prepared to get on task and be successful in the classroom.
Can they take different classes? Can they take, like, let's say, Spanish or different language classes as well?
As far as the language classes go, we currently do not offer them. We will be offering them in the future, though.
So you're looking at growth. So are you excited about that?
Oh, absolutely. The more students, the merrier.
We're going to watch a video right now about Seoul Charter School and about some of the cool things happening. So let's watch this video.
Seoul is the first charter school in the county of Fresno. We just got recently rechartered for 5 years. We're very proud of that. We're proud of the kids that went through the process of chartering. I mean, we included the kids in the process, and we went to Fresno Unified's board meeting, and we had at-risk youth filled the board meeting, and they had to wait 3 hours before they had the opportunity to speak, and they were all, again, as we expected them to be, but I think others were surprised at how well behaved these kids are.
One thing that really caught my eye about Seoul was the teachers. They're really attentive about you. They're really on you about your grades and everything, and they're not only as teachers like in ordinary schools or big classrooms and everything where they're like, all right, I'm gonna help this student. They're all like focusing on each individual student, staying after school, helping them, and it's just better. I mean, with the bigger classroom, they can't keep up with every single student. With the smaller classrooms in the smaller environment, every student, the teachers are like their friends.
One of the differences between being at a traditional school and being here at a charter school is that you see the results at a much faster pace. You see the transformation in students. You see how they adapt to our programs, and they take the adaptation skills and take them out into the real world. As a teacher, I feel a much higher level of satisfaction working with at-risk youth than I would at any other traditional school.
Ultimately, is to make sure they have that path to post-secondary education, which, majority of our students go directly to Fresno City College, and that's a process in itself as far as getting them ready for what they call registration to go, which means if they get a certain, if they complete some prerequisites that's expected of them, then they can get their classes before they even graduate from high school, which we just completed last Wednesday.
A couple weeks ago, I registered for Fresno City. I'm a major in teaching, education, stuff like that. Like, I like learning about stuff that goes on around the world. There's always a way to bounce back from it. Like, you can always keep going. Like, the teachers push you, like, no matter. Like, you can have, like, the worst grades, but they'll help you, like, be the person you want to be because they know that you can.
Great video that we saw. What happens if the child doesn't want to come to school?
Well, an increasing number of parents are dealing with the dilemma that all of a sudden now their child's 15, 16 years old, and they wake up and decide they don't want to go to school. What does a parent do? There are options, there are alternatives, there are different environments. So if someone's in that situation, all I would say is come and talk to us. Give us a call and visit our program, and we would be happy to show you that alternative.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the program. We are here with Mr. Hairston and Mr. Parra, both with Soul Charter School in downtown Fresno. Let's start with you, Mr. Parra. When in the process do the students work with you?
As being the case manager for the School of Unlimited Learning, the students and the parents meet with me in the beginning of the year when they come in for their first orientation into the school. Once they receive the orientation, we put them through the registration process, and then the following week or the following day, they do start their classrooms. At that time, students have the opportunity to let their teachers know if they're dealing with a situation that maybe they need to break away from class to come and talk to me because maybe they're dealing with a situation at home, within their personal lives, or just a matter that they need a moment to break away. And that's when the process begins with me, that I start working with them, start making diffusing situations they may have, or finding them services through EOC or any other agency that can help the family deal with whatever situation they're dealing with at home, which makes it difficult for the student to be focused in class with things that are going on in their personal lives.
It sounds like from what you're saying that you provide a little bit more than just education. I mean, you're providing kind of life support skills or life support kind of assistance. Why is that important? I mean, let's say that the school didn't have someone in your position.
If with the position that in the role that I play, it's crucial. I mean, I wish a lot of high schools, have the opportunity to provide the services I provide, because it gives that student that opportunity to turn to somebody, an adult in their life. If it's a situation with bullying, or if it's a situation with just a need to learn how to communicate and not be so angry in class or be angry with themselves, I give them that opportunity, and it's very crucial to help the kids stay focused in class.
I want to instigate a little bit and said, who cares? Who cares if they've got issues at home? Why do we care? You're there just to provide education. Well, how do you respond to me?
It's a matter of society, our community. We have a lot of kids that are out there dropping out of high school. We have a lot of kids out there that are, turning that anger in on themselves and using drugs or abusing other people or going off on their parents or going off on the other kids and their teachers. My approach helps these kids to learn that to be productive citizens and to be able to communicate and work in society, there's a way to act. There's a way to conduct yourself. There's a way to approach and deal with situations. And I want to make sure that they understand these things, because you'll learn a lot in class, educational-wise, but there's things you got to learn about society and about yourself so that you can be a productive citizen in our community.
Now, do you work with each and every kid, or only the kids that maybe are going through personal situations?
For me, it's sort of like a triage. I have some students that are doing excellent. I'm like, why are you guys here? Getting A's, you're showing up every day, and it's like, because we found a place. Then I have kids that have minor issues, and they just need maybe a little bit of help and a little bit of guidance, and so I'm there to give them what they need. And then I have my students that are just at risk. We could lose them. They could hurt themselves or hurt others and stuff. And I focus on them because I'm like, okay, I got to get to you guys. I got to make sure you understand what's going on, because I don't want to see you drop out of high school or be removed from our high school, because then it just makes things more difficult for you.
And have you had a situation where, let's say someone's having issues at home and then they come to you and all of a sudden, they get around those issues and now they're getting A's or B's in the class?
It happens. It happens. In society, I mean, there's people that are going to succeed and people need help. And then you do run into individuals that they don't want to get it. But you don't give up on them. You keep showing them, you let them know that you're doing something positive. By the fact that you came in to speak with me and listen to what I have to say, that's what you need to realize is going to help you. Open up a little bit.
Mr. Harrison, I want to talk to you a little bit about your role as a career counselor or career guidance counselor. What are you telling the students that come to you?
Well, for starters, I let them know that everyone possesses some type of skill that comes easy to them that they can possibly use in a career down the road. And if they don't know exactly what that skill is, I have a career assessment tool that I use that we can help them to identify different career cluster areas. Then we do a career exploration to find out or identify specifically which career they may be interested in. And we expose them to speakers, internships, jobs, and just make sure that they have the belief in themselves that they can go on and become productive citizens in the community.
And do you have times where students come to you and simply don't know what direction they want to go or what career path they want to take?
Oh, I get that all the time, a lot of times, but it's only because they really haven't met with anyone and sat down and really helped, get that direction and feed them the necessary information and let them know that they have the tools to, to succeed. And every one of our students has those opportunities and has the tools, and it's up to me to make sure that I make believers out of them and help guide them towards prosperity and the career that they're interested in.
How about schools? Talk about school after Soul Charter School, colleges. I mean, do you help them find colleges as well? And are you seeing that they want to go to college?
Oh, most definitely. All of them want to succeed. All of them want to maybe not necessarily go to a traditional 2-year or 4-year college, but a lot of them are interested in vocational schools or trade schools, and so we make sure that we expose them to that. But all of them do want to, better themselves. They want to do. A lot of them come from difficult backgrounds, and they want to not be a burden on their families. They want to help their younger siblings, and they want to, do well. And it's up to me to make sure that I help to motivate them and help them to continue to believe and direct them towards the schools and make sure that they go through the entire application process, which means applying. In some cases, you have to take a placement test. Definitely have to do the FAFSA form, that's the financial aid, and scholarships, and online orientation that's offered by some schools, and we take visits to the schools. And like recently, there was a college night that was put on at the convention center downtown. We encouraged our students to be a part of that so they can, explore different schools and hopefully find one that fits them the best.
We are out of time this week on the program. I can go for hours asking you two questions and your team questions about the great school you have over at Soul Charter School. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Well, Sevag, I tell you, we are so appreciative of what you have done for us. On behalf of Fresno EOC and Soul School, we'd like to present you with one of our T-shirts.
Thank you so much for this T-shirt. Thank you to your team out there. That's all for this edition of San Joaquin Spotlight. For the volunteer crew that made this and every production possible, thank you. Thank you to our friends at 90.7 FM KFSR Fresno, to the CMAC studio, and everybody else watching and listening to this program. Tune in next week to a new edition.
say you love